My beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, do you know what truly weakens a woman? It is not the size of her body, nor the softness of her voice. It is not her tears nor her emotions. A woman is not weak because she cries. She becomes weak when she allows the wrong things to define her strength. Many women today fall into the trap of constantly seeking validation from people around them. They shape their actions, words, and even appearance based on how others perceive them. Whether it is on social media or in real-life interactions, the need to be accepted, praised, or admired by others becomes a driving force in their lives. This constant desire for approval weakens the soul and disconnects the heart from the true source of strength. Allah, when a woman depends on worldly applause to feel worthy, she is building her self-esteem on unstable ground. People's opinions change, their attention fades, and their standards are ever shifting. Trying to please everyone is not only impossible, but it also robs a woman of her inner peace. When a woman seeks approval from others, she begins to compromise her values. She might dress a certain way, speak a certain way, or behave in a manner that contradicts her beliefs, all for the sake of fitting in. This is a heavy burden to carry, because it leads to a life of constant comparison and dissatisfaction. There will always be someone prettier, more popular, or more admired in the eyes of the world. But what many fail to realize is that true contentment does not come from being liked by people. It comes from being loved by Allah. When a woman centers her life around pleasing her Creator, she is no longer a slave to public opinion. She becomes grounded, secure, and dignified. A woman of true strength understands that her worth is not defined by likes, comments, compliments, or attention. It is defined by her sincerity, her intentions, and her obedience to Allah. When she worships with love, dresses with modesty, speaks with dignity, and lives with purpose, she finds a peace that no worldly praise can ever match. People may overlook her, but Allah never does. Seeking validation from people weakens a woman, because it causes her to chase shadows, always running after something that can never fill her heart. But when she seeks only the pleasure of Allah, she walks with a quiet strength. She is not shaken by opinions, nor is she desperate for attention. She knows who she is, and more importantly, she knows who her Lord is. That is where real power lies. One of the most harmful mistakes a woman can make is settling for a haram relationship in the hope that it will complete her or bring her happiness. Many women, in moments of vulnerability or loneliness, allow themselves to be drawn into emotional or romantic connections outside the boundaries set by Allah. They believe that this connection will give them value, identity, or love, but in reality it often brings more pain than peace. These relationships are usually built on false promises, temporary desires, and emotional dependency. Instead of being cherished and honored, the woman often ends up being used, disrespected, or emotionally drained. When a woman gives her heart to someone who does not value her through the lens of Deen, she opens herself to disappointment. A man who is unwilling to commit through nikah, who encourages secrecy and sin, is not someone who deserves her trust. Such relationships may seem sweet on the surface, filled with affection and attention, but they are poisoned at the root. Anything that begins with disobedience to Allah cannot bring lasting happiness. What starts with sin is usually followed by heartbreak, guilt, and spiritual emptiness. A strong woman recognizes that her worth is far too high to be reduced to someone's temporary convenience. She understands that Allah created her with dignity, and He never commanded her to lower herself in order to feel loved. If a man truly values her, he will honor her by going through the proper, respectful path. Through marriage, with the blessing of her family, and under the guidance of Islam. Anything less than that is not love, it is weakness disguised as romance. Settling for haram relationships not only damages a woman's emotional and mental well-being, but it also weakens her relationship with Allah. It places the desires of the heart above the commandments of the Creator. And once the heart becomes attached to what is forbidden, it becomes harder to detach, even when she knows it's wrong. But the moment she chooses to step away from such a relationship for the sake of Allah, that is the moment her strength is reborn. Allah replaces what is lost with something better. He fills the heart with peace, surrounds it with dignity, and brings into her life someone who will love her the halal way, with respect, commitment, and sincerity. Many women carry emotional wounds for years. Unable to let go of the pain others have caused them, they hold on to grudges, betrayals, and hurtful words, allowing these memories to replay in their minds over and over again. This emotional burden slowly drains their energy, clouds their judgment, and keeps them stuck in the past. Weak women allow these pains to define them. They build walls around their hearts, not to protect themselves, but to keep the wounds fresh and open. They believe that by holding on to the anger or bitterness, they are somehow punishing the person who hurt them. But in reality, they are only punishing themselves. When a woman refuses to forgive, she traps herself in a cycle of emotional and spiritual exhaustion. Her heart becomes heavy, her prayers become distracted, and her thoughts remain unsettled. This is not the life Allah wants for her. Islam teaches that forgiveness is a sign of strength, not weakness. It is not about accepting injustice, or forgetting what happened. It is about freeing the heart from the chains of resentment. The one who hurt you may never apologize, may never regret, and may never change, but you still have the choice to let go for your own peace. Forgiving does not mean you have to trust the person again, or allow them back into your life. It means you no longer allow them to control your emotions, or take up space in your heart. It means you are choosing peace over poison. A strong woman knows that her heart is a sacred place. It must be protected, purified, and filled with remembrance of Allah, not anger toward His creation. The Prophet Muhammad endured the worst from people: mockery, betrayal, cruelty. And yet he forgave. He understood that mercy brings strength, and holding grudges only weakens the soul. When a woman learns to release the past, she opens her life to healing. She becomes lighter, freer, and more connected to her Creator. Her focus shifts from what was done to her, to what Allah is doing for her. She realizes that her value is not tied to what someone else did, but to how she rises after the hurt. Letting go is not easy, but it is powerful. It is a quiet strength that transforms pain into growth and bitterness into beauty. In today's world, many women fall into the trap of competing with one another, believing that they must outshine others to feel valuable. This mindset is rooted in insecurity and a lack of self-awareness. When a woman constantly compares her life, looks, or achievements to another's, she is allowing jealousy and self-doubt to rule her heart. Weak women view other women as threats instead of sisters. They feel unsettled by someone else's beauty, success, or happiness, and instead of feeling inspired, they begin to feel inferior or envious. This silent competition creates emotional distance, resentment, and even hatred between women who should be supporting one another. Social media has made this problem even worse. Filters, highlights, and carefully curated images often lead women to believe others are living perfect lives while theirs feel incomplete. But what's shown on the outside is not always the full story. Behind every smile could be a struggle, and behind every polished photo could be pain. A woman weakens herself when she allows these illusions to affect her self-worth. She begins to chase standards set by others instead of embracing her unique blessings given by Allah. Every woman is created with her own risk, her own journey, her own tests, and her own gifts. A strong woman does not compete with her sister. She prays for her. She doesn't envy what others have. She trusts that what Allah has written for her will come at the right time. She understands that another woman's beauty doesn't make her any less beautiful, and another success doesn't take away from her own potential. In Islam, we are taught to love for our sisters what we love for ourselves. This attitude builds unity, peace, and collective strength. When women compete, communities break. But when women support one another, they all rise. A woman of true strength uplifts others. She celebrates their wins, offers sincere advice, and stands by them in their struggles. She knows that helping another sister never reduces her light, it multiplies it. Weakness lies in jealousy, strength lies in sincerity. When a woman stops comparing and starts connecting, she begins to feel secure in who she is and how Allah has shaped her. That is the kind of strength that brings both peace in the heart and barakah in life. Many women today unknowingly lose their true identity by becoming overly attached to the dunya. They measure their worth through material possessions, social media presence, beauty standards, and worldly success. When their sense of self is rooted in things that are temporary and constantly changing, their confidence becomes fragile. A woman who relies on the validation of the world will always feel like she is not enough. She will keep chasing trends, appearances, and approval without ever finding lasting peace. This attachment to worldly things leads to spiritual emptiness, because the heart was never created to find fulfillment in the creation. It was created to find contentment in the Creator. The more a woman tries to find her identity in the dunya, the further she drifts from her true purpose. Her focus shifts from pleasing Allah to impressing people. Her time and energy are spent in beautifying her outward life, while her inner connection with her faith begins to fade. She becomes so busy trying to look perfect, live up to expectations, and chase success that she forgets what truly matters. When a woman forgets her value in Deen, she becomes vulnerable to anything and everything the world throws at her. She starts believing that she must look a certain way to be loved, act a certain way to be accepted, or achieve certain things to be respected. This is a heavy burden that no soul can carry for long. But the woman who roots her identity in her faith finds a different kind of strength. She understands that her worth is not in her face or her figure, her followers or her finances, but in her taqwa, her consciousness of Allah. She doesn't need the world to clap for her, because she knows her Lord sees her efforts, even when the world does not. Her confidence comes from knowing that she is a servant of the Most Merciful, not a product of society's demands. When a woman returns to the path of Deen, she begins to reclaim her true identity. She walks with dignity, speaks with purpose, and lives with contentment. Her heart becomes lighter, her intentions become purer, and her self-worth becomes unshackable. Losing yourself in the dunya brings confusion, but grounding yourself in Islam brings clarity, peace, and strength that cannot be taken away by any trend or opinion. True strength in a woman is not found in how loudly she speaks, how fashionable she appears, or how much attention she can draw. It is found in the quiet, consistent dedication she has to her faith and values. A woman who walks humbly with Allah, who prioritizes her connection with her Creator over the fleeting approval of the world, holds a strength that cannot be broken. Many women are taught by society to believe that their power comes from being bold in appearance or loud in presence, but Islam teaches a different kind of power. One that is inward, sincere, and rooted in the remembrance of Allah. When a woman builds her life on faith, she becomes unshakable. Her self-worth is not tied to her beauty, status, or popularity. She doesn't feel the need to expose herself to be seen, or to speak unnecessarily to be heard. Her strength lies in her modesty, in her humility, and in her ability to stay firm in what she believes, even when the world pulls in the opposite direction. She guards her prayers, protects her character, and honors her responsibilities, not because it's easy, but because it pleases Allah. That kind of strength is rare and powerful. A woman of faith is not weak for choosing to live by Islamic principles. She is strong because she resists temptations that many fall into. She is strong because she chooses dignity over display, patience over popularity, and obedience over opinion. While others may be chasing fame, she is chasing Jannah. While others may be trying to fit into worldly molds, she is focused on aligning her heart with divine guidance. She may not always be praised by people, but she is always noticed by her Lord. And that is what truly matters. This inner strength also reflects in how she treats others. She speaks with kindness, deals with justice, and carries herself with respect. She doesn't need to prove herself to anyone, because her soul is already at peace. Her strength is quiet but powerful, humble but firm, hidden from the world yet known to the heavens. This is the kind of woman who brings light wherever she goes. Not through show, but through sincerity. And when trials come her way, she doesn't crumble. She turns to Allah, places her trust in Him, and walks forward with unshakable faith. That is the essence of true strength.